Thank you for joining us. I'm Jack Barron, and I'm the host of Travels with Jack, where we try to meet with local folks who share their recent trips or a trip they're planning with us, and we then televise it for the community so everybody can learn and hear something interesting about different travel locations. Today, I am lucky enough to have Miss Saba Wahid as our guest. Saba is the hostess of Saba's Culinary Delights, a very exciting culinary show here on Framingham Television, where Saba specializes in Middle Eastern and Pakistan and Indian dishes with kind of a Western flair. Right. And it's a very new and kind of fun show. And Saba was recently a guest at the Olympics in Vancouver, Canada, and she has agreed to tell us a little bit about it, and she also brought some photographs that we're going to share with you. So we'll start talking.
Great.
Saba's a resident here in Framingham, and she was telling me she went to Vancouver and was the guest of her former college roommate from UMass Amherst.
Correct.
And tell us a little bit about the trip, how you got there, what you saw, what your friends did for you as far as the different venues and invitations, and let us hear.
Sure. Well, basically, I initially got the invitation to join my friends in Vancouver for this exciting event, and I didn't really know what to expect other than I knew they had some tickets to some events, and they were graciously hosting me to come. So I booked my plane ticket and just left it all in their hands, basically. So
how lucky we don't always get that
right.
privilege.
It was quite a privileged experience, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So it was great. As soon as I landed, they were there to pick me up, and I got the beautiful scenic drive through Vancouver at night on my way back to their house. And once we got there, we had a gorgeous view of the whole city, because we were in a house high on top of a residential area.
Are there a lot of mountains? I've never been to Vancouver. Are there a lot of mountains there? Or?
Yeah, actually, that's one of the most beautiful aspects of the city. It's that it's very cosmopolitan. It's got a lot of high, tall buildings and beautiful architecture, but it's also has the beautiful Cascade Mountains, I believe they are, or not Cascade, the coastal mountains of Canada, which are the backdrop. So you have the contrast of the modern buildings as well as the beautiful natural mountains, and
it sounds
it's
breathtaking.
Gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and of course the ocean as well. So you get to see a little bit of it all.
And their house, you were telling me earlier, was really quite spectacular.
It was. It's an area of West Vancouver known as the British Properties. So okay. It's basically all built on an incline, on a hill. So it reminded me kind of San Francisco and Berkeley, actually, how all the houses are kind of built on a steep hill. So we took a winding road all the way, and of course their house was almost at the top of the hill. So
the pinnacle.
Yes, it was. So once we got there, looking down over the water, and there's the Lionsgate Bridge, and then there's Stanley Park, which connects to the city. So it's just so fascinating, the way the whole city is set up. You have the downtown area, then you have this huge park right on the outskirts of it, and then the bridge that connects you to West Vancouver. So we got a nice view of it all.
Oh,
yeah,
and,
it was great.
Tell me a little bit about some of the events you went to. You mentioned to me earlier that your host and hostess were also participants in helping to sponsor, I believe you said, the Icelandic team.
Correct, yes. That's actually how we got tickets to some of the events. The my friend's in-laws were sponsors for the Iceland team. So being a sponsor, his company was rather a sponsor, they were given a certain number of tickets to all these events. So I was quite privileged to be invited as part of the entourage.
So you did a little better than I did watching it on TV.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And
now, what were some of the events or the particular sports that you remember, seeing or particularly enjoying?
Well, I have to say, I think it was very. It was so spread out, so it was really overwhelming to be there because you wanted to be a part of it all, but because so much was going on and we obviously had a large group of people with us as well, we had to streamline it. So of course the first thing that happened, which was the unfortunate accident of the Georgian player, which was shocking, and of course it was on the front page of the news everywhere, and to the point where in all the newspapers it was it was documented.
A shocking event. Yeah.
It was. So that was kind of, they put a little bit of a damper on the events and how things were played out. So then we just knew we had to attend the opening ceremony, which was fantastic, and that was the highlight. That was the first day.
A little bit like a rock concert.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say though, the whole city was so well organized, and you didn't even know that there was something.
Did you find the Canadians friendly? Did you have an opportunity to interact with them?
Oh, yeah. No, the Canadians were very friendly. And it was actually really interesting being there because obviously most people spoke English. But the Canadian...
always makes it easier.
Yeah, it makes it easier. But then you forget that you're not in America because you hear that thick Canadian accent and you think someone's playing a joke on you. Like, you don't understand at first that, no, this is how they speak. It's like it's just normal. So I'm always, chuckling to myself, thinking, oh, they're just, making fun of a Canadian. But no, it's actually the accent. It's real. But so nice. Everyone was just like very warm and welcoming and so excited. The genuine atmosphere was huge. It was huge. So it was inviting and welcoming to be there.
Now, did you have an opportunity to do any local shopping?
Yes. I got a chance to go out to the shops. There's the one main street, which I apologize, I'm blanking on the name. That's all right. It's like probably Broadway or something like that. So there was some really cool shops. Roots, of course, who make all the sports gear. I think they sponsored the Olympics at one point as well. I'm not sure if they were a sponsor this year. That was one of the huge stores. Everyone also had those mittens. If you saw those red mittens with the Olympic symbol. So I searched high and low for those and could not find them. They were sold out everywhere. So that was a little bit disappointing, but there were some really cute shops. This one shop, Aritzia, which I thought was really nice. Yeah, had all the...
so if one of our viewers was to go when the Olympics aren't there, which obviously they won't be, you would say they might enjoy the shopping and the stores.
Oh, absolutely. The shopping was fantastic. I think that the conversion works out...
the dollar to the Canadian dollar.
Canadian dollar, yeah. It works out to be a little bit... less expensive, I think.
Well, actually, right now the Canadian dollar is pretty strong.
Right.
The U.S. dollar has picked up a little bit. We're in a stronger position, especially against the euro. So you probably had
there was a
little bit expensive.
There was, I wasn't really paying attention.
No,
when I'm on vacation, I
hear you. I know.
Just
I know.
Buy it. Why not?
Lots of people were here. Let's spend
let's spend
have a good time. Did you get a chance to go to any restaurants?
Yes.
Tell me about that, because both of us are very interested in food.
Yeah, no, the restaurants were great. Well, obviously, British Columbia is known for their seafood because it's a coastal city. So the first night we went to a very hot and trendy restaurant called Coast.
Oh.
So it was fantastic. We had sushi and tuna tartare and the British BC cod, which was beautifully
really? What is
seared.
that? Is that similar to
Very similar to Atlantic cod.
Okay.
Yeah, very similar in its
And
texture.
they get a lot of
and
Canadian, Alaskan seafood.
salmon was their other
okay.
big fish that they had there. So I got to try all of it, and it was fantastic. So fresh, so delicious, and these restaurants obviously were the high-end restaurants, so they were really prepared fantastically. Presentation was unbelievable.
I'm ready to go out and dine right now.
Yeah, it was great.
Tell me some of the other restaurants you remember.
So that was Coast, and we also went to one called Society, which was part of the same restaurant group.
Okay.
It's called the Glow Ball Restaurant Group. They have several different other types of venues in the city. I think there's like an Italian kitchen as well. So they're very well known there. The Society restaurant was really interesting. It was very trendy. It was in Yaletown, which was like the college area.
Oh, really?
College
Name
town.
it after Yale and New Haven, or?
I don't know if it's named after Yale and New Haven, but that's kind
what
of
they call it.
The atmosphere there was very college friendly, like UMass.
Like Amherst.
Like Amherst, exactly. So it was
for our Framingham State viewers.
Yeah,
like
right.
Framingham.
So we got to go to this restaurant, and we had it was like modern comfort food, things like truffle mac and cheese and
I love that.
lobster gnocchi, and that's where I actually had the salmon dish. So some really tasty stuff. And then I remember for dessert we actually ordered this junk food platter.
What is that?
Which was it was a big serving of cotton candy.
Oh my
Then there
God.
was like chocolate cupcakes and Rice Krispie treats and cookies and a milkshake. It was like a dentist disaster.
Sounds very
basically.
fattening and
it was delicious.
a lot of fun.
Lots of sugar, lots of delicious, yummy goodies. So we shared it, of course, among 6 people. So we distributed the calories well. So
Now, did you have time at all to go to any of the museums or things like that, that if there wasn't an Olympics, you might have been able to have the time to go to?
Well, unfortunately, we didn't get to do too much other than what the events were.
Of course.
But we did get to see the Capilano suspension bridge, which I actually have a picture of.
Oh, all right. Well, as soon as Bill, our producer, can bring up... Oh, there it is.
You go. So that's,
okay, tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, so basically this was also in North Vancouver, and it's just dates back to, I believe, the 1800s. So,
Really?
It has some deep roots in the development and history of Vancouver. But when I was walking over it, I felt like I was in Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom.
It almost looks like the Wall of China, except, there's a lot of trees, which you don't see necessarily with the Wall of China.
Right, but it is a suspension bridge, so it was a huge river flowing beneath it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it basically just brought you from...
And this is a picture of...
the other side. So this is, I believe it's like a red hawk, I think, and this was in the suspension bridge park. So there was some wildlife there. There was also an owl, and this was one of the friendly little creatures that lived there.
And that's the handler, I see.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't get that close.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
I'm not that brave when it comes to
And
wildlife.
this was what, the entrance to one of the stadiums?
This was the entrance to the stadium where the opening ceremonies were.
Oh, okay.
So, this was the main one.
Now, did you get to see the gas torch and everything at that?
Yeah, we got to see the whole event happen. So those were obviously the Olympic rings. And if you notice the little billboard right above there, that's if you did get a chance to watch the ceremonies, there was a lot of lighting effects that the audience participated in. So that was kind of a tutorial on teaching us how to use the lights.
Okay.
So for everyone that arrived, on their seat there was a package, and inside the package was a flashlight, a candle, a flag, a poncho. So you had to actually participate. So we helped in the production of the opening ceremonies. So, but we had to go.
So you were a stand-in actress
Sure,
for
you
the
can call it
Olympics.
that.
We'll put that on your
You can call
resume.
it that. I like that title. Works for me. So it was great. That's where all the dignitaries and all the politicians sat. So as you can see, we got there quite early, so the seats haven't all filled in
no,
at
it
that
looks
point.
beautiful.
But it was, yeah, it was massive, and it was really exciting. And this is actually the start of the ceremony where you can see the athletes are going to begin walking in. So they had it staged around the center there. So yeah, no, it was great. It was.
And this is more of the same stadium.
Same stadium, yep. Just it was different points of the. I was so camera happy, I couldn't stop taking photos. I just every time I saw something new, I had to snap a photo of it.
Did you get a chance at all to go out into? You know, the ocean or the harbor at all, and
no,
okay.
I didn't. But actually, back to you had mentioned the museums and whatnot. But we did get to go to some art galleries, which Vancouver is also known about.
I didn't know that. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, they're just there's one area of the city where it's very quaint and pretty and elegant, and there's just a strip of beautiful art galleries there. So we went and just took a look at some of the local artists.
Is there considered to be a large art community in Vancouver? A lot of artists?
I think there's there's a significant number of artists there because it's such a gorgeous city. I think people find a lot of inspiration there for their art, and they encourage that. I think there's a very cool vibe. Did you get a sense?
Did you get a sense there were a lot of young people there?
Yes.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of young people. In fact, when we were walking from the opening ceremonies to dinner, it was impossible to drive, obviously. There was just such a great atmosphere, and actually, when everywhere I went, I smelled pot. It was so funny. Every 2 steps.
Well, you know, that's going to be on the ballot.
That's
going to be on the ballot in California.
Yeah.
They need a few bucks to pay the expenses for the state, so they're going to legalize it. Do you know if it was legal in Vancouver?
Well, I did ask.
I
asked. So I think it's kind of the don't ask, don't tell policy.
Oh, okay.
It's okay, apparently, to smoke it, but if you see a cop, just kind of, hide it. Be discreet about it.
All right.
But that because there was all young kids, and they offered me some as well, and I was like, oh,
you don't have to tell our audience.
I'm okay. No, I just I'm going to keep going. So
if we see some more of your photos, and we find that you're shaking a little bit, I'm going to assume that the marijuana fumes got into your nostrils a little bit. And
that's probably
this is what particular thing?
So this was another part of the ceremonies where we had actually seen a simulation of the mountains, kind of.
Oh, okay.
And then those are people on rollerblades kind of circling it to give it a very interesting effect.
Wow, they almost look neon.
Yeah, they all had lights on, so that was pretty cool. And then this is another part of this is when I believe Katie Lang was singing Hallelujah. So this was actually funny because the lights weren't supposed to happen that way. When they had...
The people didn't read the instructions.
They didn't follow well, it was kind of ambitious. What they wanted everyone to do was to create a kind of ripple effect with the lights. So they were supposed to start in the center and then illuminate as you moved out.
Like at Fenway Park when we do a wave.
Right, but not like from the center and then like
I know just what you
what
mean.
I'm talking about.
Kind of a wave situation.
Yeah. So
they all lit them at one time.
Everyone, you saw someone light it, and the next person lit it, and then the whole stadium was lit. So it still looked beautiful, it was wonderful. But it was really ambitious for them to attempt that. So this is again another picture of the rings, and there's some smoke, and there was a lot of lighting and effects, and And I think this is when the torch is about to be lit.
Oh, okay.
So if you see the four corners,
Yep.
There's the torch bearers in there. So,
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then once they had everyone set, that's when the torches rise from the ground. And I
The
don't know.
stadium looks tremendous. Was it
You know what's
physically
funny?
huge?
It wasn't.
It
When we were
wasn't.
there, it looked so tiny. When we were in there, I'm like, oh, it looks a lot bigger on TV. And then when I saw the photos, I was like,
your
even
photos
in the
make it look very large.
That's the funny part. And even the next day when we were there,
There's
at
the
breakfast,
tour.
yeah, this was and there was a malfunction. I don't know if everyone heard about it, but there were supposed to be basically 4 pillars and then the center torch. So notice how there's only 3 pillars there. So the 4th one malfunctioned.
Okay, like
Yeah.
Janet Jackson.
Yeah, like a Janet Jackson, exactly. Not as obscene, but it was unfortunate because that 4th torchbearer wasn't able to light their poles. So I think during the closing ceremonies they made a little parody of it. I don't know if you got a chance to see that, but they had like a mime come in and try to make a joke about it, and then the last torchbearer did get to light that at the end at the closing ceremonies. And
Now, this was the car you you drove around in?
that would be quite interesting. No, unfortunately, we didn't get such a sophisticated ride like this. But this was just on one of the streets when we went shopping one day. We saw this automobile that was just a little embellished with some of the Canadian paraphernalia. I think there was like a little fountain on it. There was water, and inside there were some dolls sitting around. So it was just something interesting we came across. But I think it's a permanent fixture on that street. So,
okay.
Yeah, so it's always there.
Oh, it's kind of a statuary thing.
Yeah. So everyone.
Oh, speaking of statues, look at that. Now, are there Indian tribes in that area?
Oh, yes. That was actually the theme of the Olympics, was the 4 nation hosts that kind of represent what Canada is. Now, I'm going to blank on all the names.
That's all right.
One is Squamish. I know that. And I don't know.
But this was a totem pole.
Yes, totem poles.
It looks quite tremendous, actually.
It was pretty tall. There were several totem poles everywhere, and I tried to take photos with all of them because I thought they were so unique. And
well, I think they are.
Yeah, they are.
I'll tell you, the width of the tree itself is pretty impressive.
Yeah, there's
we
some
are
giant
used to
trees.
Here in New England. Most of the totem poles we see are made from much slimmer trees. Yes, smaller, slimmer trees.
Yeah. So again, see the contrast of the clouds and the mountains, and you see the.
Now, when you flew out, did you fly directly from Boston, or how did you get there?
Unfortunately, there weren't any direct flights available. I think there are some during the summer season. So I had a layover, not a long one.
Did you fly into where, Seattle, or?
On the way there into Seattle, on the way back San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically you went cross-country Boston to the west coast of the U.S., and then from there up to Vancouver.
Yeah, and it was like just a half an hour, 40 minutes
from
there.
Yeah, I know it's not far from Seattle.
Yeah. So
this is the skaters.
Oh, yeah, we did. We also went to the short pairs competition. So this was actually the first couple that had skated. This was the Chinese couple who actually won. But it was so interesting because this competition, you get scored on technical details. Like you have to perform a certain number of technical feats to qualify. So they went first. And we didn't really know what to expect from the rest. And we kept comparing the numbers to the Chinese competitors, and nobody compared to them. I think they scored...
You mean they were so high?
They were so high, and we couldn't figure out what they had done that was so unique. So we kept asking ourselves, what did they do? But they were the winners, and they performed really, really spectacular. So it was great to watch it.
Oh, there is the mountains you were talking about.
Yeah. This is en route to Whistler. We ended up going to Whistler one day too.
Oh, you went to Whistler.
Yeah, we went to Whistler.
Tell me now, did you stay overnight in Whistler?
No. Actually, Whistler's not far from the city at all.
Okay.
But what happened was they didn't allow a lot of people to drive. You were only allowed to drive on the Sea to Sky Highway if you had a pass.
Really?
Yeah, and you're only allowed to pass if you have lodging there.
Okay.
Or if you have
So they
some
really
sort of
did not want you
privilege.
leaving British Columbia and going to Whistler, so to speak.
No, you could, but you had to take the buses.
Oh,
you had to take the
they didn't want you driving, I would say.
designated
Okay,
buses.
I got you.
Right, so you weren't allowed to drive unless you had a pass. So we had a pass that allowed us to go. So we got to take the beautiful scenic Sea to Sky Highway there and got up to Whistler. Obviously, a lot of the skiing competitions, the snowboarding competitions, the luge competitions were all up there. They only had...
Oh, that's why they wanted to keep the cars off the road to a point, because
Right.
they knew everybody was traveling there.
Right, right. And this is actually up at the top of Whistler, so
Okay.
you can see the Canadian flag, and it was pretty chilly up
Whistler,
there.
I understand, is
Yeah.
supposed to be fabulous skiing.
Supposed to be it's the biggest ski resort in all of North America.
Really?
Yeah, it might even be the world. Oh, this was the gondola we took from Whistler to Blackcomb. They just recently opened the gondola, so it connects both peaks.
Oh, okay.
And they used to be two separate mountains, and they just recently combined them into one resort. So
Wow.
that might be why it is the largest resort in.
No, I've always heard
Whistler and
friends of mine who ski have just said how terrific and beautiful, and the accommodations.
Beautiful.
You, of course, stayed with your very lovely friends
Yes,
in a
yes.
spectacular house. But
Yes.
did you get a chance to see any of the hotels or?
You know what? I was so bummed because we had the opportunity to. They had rooms at the Pan Pacific Hotel, which is supposed to be amazing, but time-wise, it just didn't work out. We were also traveling with kids. They have
Yeah.
a couple of kids, and that always slows it up.
Well, I have to tell you,
yeah.
it just sounds like a fabulous trip.
Oh, this was actually on our way to the airport, and
Yep.
that's another very interesting thing about Vancouver is there's no direct highway to the airport.
Oh.
You have to drive through the city to get there, and I was actually kind of nervous because we were really late, so I almost missed my flight. But I got this beautiful photo of the of the building on my way there. Looks like it's covered in wrapping paper.
It looks lovely. I want to thank you for joining us. I hope we can
pleasure.
interview you again, and
Of course.
I'll be watching your show, Saba Culinary Delights.
Oh, please do, please do.
And just thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
All right.